Okay, so hello everyone. So it's Bev here. Now, listen, if you've ever considered or fancied or seen yourself on the TEDx stage, standing on that red dot, sharing your wisdom and ideas with the world, but you're not sure how you would do it, hang around because I'm going to tell you exactly how I ended up on that very dot. Okay guys, so in September this year, I was so fortunate to be able to stand on the stage at the TEDx Brayford pool event, which is Lincoln in the UK. So I got to stand on the stage at TEDx and it was the most incredible day. It was just everything I wanted it to be. It all ran really smoothly and it was just the most wonderful event. Now, how did I get there? Well, we have to go back 3 or 4 years maybe. So how it happened, I bought a ticket to go and see a TEDx event in Peterborough, which is the city closest to where I live. And I think my first experience of TEDx Talks was years and years ago, probably about 10 years ago, when I watched the wonderful Brené Brown talking about shame and vulnerability in her amazing TEDx talk. If you haven't watched it, go and check it out. It was just brilliant. And I've followed Brené Brown ever since. She's written loads of books. She's an absolutely amazing woman. And I saw her and I just thought, God, wouldn't it be great to be able to stand on that stage? I am a bit of a show off. I don't quite like being on stage and performing. But wouldn't it be great to go and do a TEDx talk? Now, I'll be honest, I had no idea how to do this. I imagined you had to be really well known. I imagined you had to be a PhD. I imagined you had to have all these original ideas. So I had no idea how to go about it, but I had it in my head. It was a bit of a dream. I was going to one day stand on that stage. And as I say, about 4 years ago, there was an event in Peterborough, which I bought tickets for, and it went along and there was probably about 11 speakers on the day at the Key Theatre in Peterborough. And they were great. It was such an amazing event. Everybody was so into what was being said. Some of the talks didn't really relate to me. I didn't particularly resonate with what the content was, but I just really loved the whole experience. And I vowed I would find out how to apply to do a TEDx talk. I got to talking to some of the people in the audience who knew a bit more about the process and said you have to go through an application process and you get selected if you're lucky, and then different phases that you have to go through before you actually end up on the stage. So I vowed that I was going to do that. And I have a vision board, always had a vision board, and I put pictures of the TEDx logo up onto my vision board because it was a real dream. I just wanted to be able to see myself up there. I could close my eyes and visualize myself on the stage talking. No idea what I was going to talk about. I hadn't even thought that one through at that point, but I just knew it was a dream. So I put it on my vision board, and then COVID hit. Everything basically came to a standstill, didn't it? So my dream of doing the Peterborough TEDx just didn't happen. I didn't see anything else. I don't know if they did it virtually. I didn't see anything about it at all. And to be honest, I don't think I'd have wanted to do a virtual TEDx talk. I know some people did, but for me, the whole thrill, the whole experience was about standing on stage with an audience in front of me, engaging with the audience. So I love that audience interaction, that feeling, the energy that you get from the audience. So doing it virtually just wasn't really going to work for me anyway. It kind of went out of my head for a little while. So much so that I redid my vision board, saw the TEDx logo and the TEDx photographs and things that I had up there. And I thought, well, that's never going to happen. So I took them all down. But then in January 2022, I took part in a business growth program put on by our local university. And part of that program, I was allocated a business mentor. And after we'd finished the 10 by 10 program, we had to do this pitch, like Dragon's Den style pitch for some theoretical funding. And I won the pitch, which was rather lovely. And I met up with Jo a few weeks after that just to have a coffee and to say thank you for all the support that she'd given me. If you haven't got a mentor in whatever walk of life you want to delve into, I would definitely find somebody who has done the things you want to do and can give you some advice, because it's invaluable. Jo was this brilliant sounding board for all of the things to do with my business, but at this coffee, we were chatting and I was talking about the fact that I'd been having some coaching from another lady called Hayley, who had identified throughout the coaching that she felt really strongly that I probably have ADHD. And that actually, I'll talk about that in another video. I will talk about my ADHD. But basically, I was talking to Joe about the fact that I was absolutely convinced that there was a link between the changes that happen in perimenopause when our hormones go all wonky and ADHD, because ADHD is also a hormone dysregulation. It's a dopamine dysregulation. And I said, I can't find anything about it, but I'm absolutely convinced. And I had this theory, and I was getting very excited talking to Joe about my ADHD perimenopause theory. And she was excited too. She was asking me lots of questions. And a few weeks later, she emailed me. And she said, have you ever thought about doing a TED Talk? Because I think your idea around perimenopause and ADHD being connected is a really interesting concept and a really interesting idea. And she said, I've done some Googling and I've done some YouTubing and I can't find anybody talking about these two things being connected. And that's when I said to her, well, actually, funny you should say that, because for years I've had a TEDx talk on my vision board and I only took it off in July last year. So she said, well, look, if you want to do this, I understand the process. She used to be a TEDx coach. She said, I can talk you through the process and help you put your application form in. But I had no idea at all what it was meant to be that I was doing. But I got a little bit excited and incredibly nervous. Whenever we do something that feels new and scary, our natural reaction is to say, oh, no, I can't do that. But I have learned over the years to kind of feel that and push through anyway. And fear is just an emotion. It's not necessarily real unless you're in real danger. But there's nothing massively dangerous about applying to do a TED Talk. It's not even getting to the point of doing the talk on stage. Even just the application process felt scary. And I guess it's because you're going to put an idea forward and risk being judged, being rejected. But sometimes you've just got to do it anyway, haven't you? You just got to take that risk. I did. I put in the application form. Joe showed me how to find the application form. I'll talk about that in another video later, about the practicalities of how you actually go through the application process. But she talked me through it. She sent me all the details. And I sat down and I just completed this online application form. That was in March 2022. And I sent it off, hit submit, off it went. And I didn't really, if I'm honest, think much more about it. I knew I wouldn't get a response at all until probably April to say that April was the application deadline. And then I knew I wouldn't get any kind of response until at least mid-May. So from March to May, I kind of forgot about it. And then in May, I got the email come through from the TEDx organisers at Brayford Pool to say that I'd been successful in the first stage of the application process. What I didn't realise at this point was getting the application approved and being selected to go forward doesn't still at that stage mean that you'll actually make it to the stage. I had to basically go through all of the coaching and the practices and have my talk script approved and all of those sorts of things before I could guarantee that I would have a place on the stage. But what it did mean was I was through to the next round, and that felt good. Okay, so that was May, and we started our coaching in June, and basically it was a mix. It was a hybrid mix of some coaching was done via Zoom in the very early stages, and then we started to get together in Lincoln doing our rehearsals, and that was terrifying. That was genuinely more scary than standing up and giving the talk. One of the unexpected benefits of applying for the TED Talk is that we got some amazing coaching in public speaking that you would pay thousands for, I'm sure, and we got that included in the TED Talk. Now, I need to say here, you do not get paid for doing a TED Talk, and why would you? You're not allowed to pitch a business, which is absolutely fine and good, but you don't get paid for it. But why would you? It's a privilege to stand up on that stage. And actually, I didn't realise either that the TEDx organisers, so TEDx is a franchise of the main TED event, but TEDx is a franchise. And even those franchise owners and all of the coaches and all of the organisers, all of the crew on the day, they are all volunteers. Nobody gets paid for TEDx. It's amazing. But we got this wonderful, wonderful coaching over probably 3 months. So we started online talking about things like voice projection and stage presence and putting your talk together and storytelling and all of that good stuff. And then we got to the school and we started to do it for real in front of our peers. Oh my God. And I was first up on the very first one. So there I was giving my talk. Now I had done a lot of practice. Again, I'm going to do another video about how I prepared to do my talk, or got top 10 tips for you of how I found it useful to prepare for my talk. And actually it's how I prepare for a lot of the talks that I give. So hang around for that one. Anyway, we had all of these amazing bits of coaching. But even then, even though we'd got to the point of going to the school, doing the rehearsals, standing up and getting the coaching, that still didn't guarantee our place on the stage. And in June, we had to put our first draft of our script through for compliance reasons. So TED have some quite strict guidelines that you absolutely have to follow. Otherwise, your talk just won't get through. It'll be disapproved and it won't get through. So we have these guidelines that we have to follow. So you put your talk through. I think we did that in about the end of June. It was quite early on in the process. And the TEDx organisers vet your talk and say yay or nay. Thankfully, mine went through. Anyway, it went through. We did our coaching. And I don't think I actually found out that I was definitely going to be on the stage until around about the beginning week or so of August. And our talk was on the 3rd of September. So right up until that stage, I still didn't know if I was actually going to make it to the stage and give my talk. So it was just absolutely brilliant. But there was undoubtedly a lot of waiting and wondering. There was a lot of prep. There was a lot of hours went into it. And in the video I'm going to make about how I prepared for the talk, I will share with you how I rehearsed and went over and over and over. And the truth is, to get it right, it's practice, 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 and practice some more. So my story was a little bit more complicated than some of the other TEDx speakers. So we did the recording, we did the live event, if you like, at the Engine Shed in Lincoln, which is like a music and sort of entertainment venue. And it was amazing. We were on the stage, but we did the event on the 3rd and it was just amazing. It was the atmosphere, the energy. And I don't believe anybody would do a talk and not be really thrilled with the applause at the end. So we did the talk on the 3rd, but it takes a few weeks for the videos to be edited and finalised and sent through to the main TED YouTube channel to get uploaded onto the TEDx website. Normally it takes probably 6 weeks or so, but our cohort of TEDx speakers, actually they went live on the 28th of September. So we did the talk on the 3rd, went live on the 28th. Apart from mine and a small number of the others. Mine didn't go live. There was another couple of speakers who had theirs reviewed as well. They weren't rejected, but they'd been put forward for review. A couple for legal reasons because they were sharing other people's stories. They just needed to prove that they had the permission of those people to be sharing. Mine went through for scientific review, to the science editor for review. And I always thought it might be a little bit tricky because I was talking about ADHD, I was talking about menopause, and I am not a medical practitioner. I don't have a medical qualification. But in all honesty, if you listen to my talk, I'm not really talking about anything that medical. I'm not talking about anything that we can't kind of reference. Anyway, it was flagged and it didn't go live, and we did a bit of bouncing backwards and forwards between myself and Andy, who was the TEDx organizer. He was really surprised because he was the one that had already reviewed my script. He'd been with me all the way through the rehearsals, and he didn't think for 1 minute that it didn't meet the TEDx criteria. There are TEDx content guidelines, and we believed mine didn't breach any of those guidelines, but TED flagged it up, which was really, it was horrible. It was a really horrible few weeks because I didn't know if all of the hard work that I put in to getting my talk ready and perfecting it, and I have to say on the day when I delivered it, I was word perfect. Actually, I did have a bit of a wobble in the middle, but I didn't miss any of the script. And that was the only time throughout all of my rehearsals that I didn't actually forget a line or two. I had everything in there. And it felt like all of that might be in jeopardy because TED had flagged up that they didn't think my talk met fully the content guidelines. And I waited, and I waited, and I waited. And I got to the point where actually I was starting to not really care. I thought, well, it's probably never going to go up there to the TED YouTube channel anyway. So I'm just going to forget about it. Had a great experience. Can still say I did a TED talk because I did. And if it doesn't go up onto the TED channel, then so be it. I can, I'm just going to have to accept that. On the 28th of November, I woke up in the morning and did the thing you should never do. Picked up my phone straight away. And actually I was just looking on YouTube, not specifically looking at TEDx. I was searching for things to watch before I got up out of bed. And when I clicked on my search bar and I got the drop down, I saw where I'd been searching to see if my talk had gone live before. And I just thought, oh, I'll have a quick look. Not expecting it to be there at all because it hadn't been for weeks. And I clicked on the search and there it was. There it popped up. My video was live and it had literally gone live about 4 hours earlier. And I have to say, I thought I'd be really excited and I wasn't. I don't know why. I really don't know why I didn't get that kind of real buzz of, it's up there, it's live. It was just, I don't know whether I waited so long that excitement had been sort of sucked out of me. I don't know. Anyway, it did go live and I'm very proud of it, if I'm honest. And I'd love you to go and watch it. So if you're at all interested in perimenopause, ADHD, or what my TED Talk looks like, please go and have a watch. I'm going to ping it somewhere up here. But it will definitely be in the channel comments. It'll be in the post comments anyway, so you can click on it and go and have a watch. So here's the big question. Was it worth it? Was it worth all of the hours that I put into planning and preparing and rehearsing and the fear that I had to get over to do it? Was it worth the hours of driving? Because Lincoln is an hour's journey each way for me. So to go and do the rehearsals, I was driving 2 hours every time. Was it worth it? Was it worth the endless waiting to see if it would go up onto the TEDx website? Abso-bloody-lutely it was. It was the best experience from a personal point of view. Just to be able to say I've done it is brilliant. From a business point of view, it adds to my authority and credibility within my business. And just from a personal satisfaction, a personal pride point of view, it was absolutely worth every single minute. So if you do have any aspiration at all to stand on that red dot and give a TEDx talk, you've got to go for it. You've got to do it. And I will be sharing over the next couple of weeks some videos around how you go about actually the practicalities of applying, the practicalities of putting your talk together, or some tips to help make it the best talk possible. Look out for those, but just do it. It is so great. And don't fall into the trap of thinking you have to be somebody special to be able to do this. I am absolutely not special. I'm just an ordinary woman with a business who fancied doing a TED Talk and did it. Listen guys, I hope you've enjoyed this. This channel is still very new. I'm really enjoying making the videos for it though and sharing my experiences, my learnings, my journey. And if you fancy coming along with me, do please hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell. That means you'll see videos as they come out. It would really mean a huge amount to me if I could get my subscribers up. Talk to you soon.